Hey there, and welcome to the Become a Guitarist Today podcast with myself, Adam Roach. Now, in this episode, I am joined with Andrew Bennett to talk about his 5150 collection and his book, Eruption in the Canyon. So Andrew shares some great stories about the behind the scenes of shooting all this footage, which really is amazing. And you'll be able to see throughout today's podcast little snippets of the videos. And we're actually going to start with a video that Andrew supplied. And the audio is from one of the rehearsals of Eddie, Wolfgang, and Alex just jamming on some little jam they're doing. And the video footage is stuff over the top you can have a look at. So he's got the first minute on there. But if you do want to see the full thing, make sure you get in contact with Andrew. He's got heaps of rehearsals and all different things there available for everyone to see. And a huge thank you to my sponsor, Steve Rosen and Tone Chaser. So Steve has his audiobook out now, as well as a book. And he's got two audiobooks, actually. He has Tone Chaser and Van Halen's Voices, which both are amazing. So let's check out the film clip first that Andrew has supplied, and then we'll go over the interview where we are joined by a few different guests who do already have the footage, and they talk about their experience with the footage as well. Enjoy. Okay, welcome everybody.
Awesome.
Hello.
Great to be here.
We've got a full house tonight.
Yeah, thanks for coming out, you guys. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Not a problem.
So we're here to talk about the 5150 collection, which again, I think is our 100th show, maybe talking about this.
Well, I like your podcast, man.
That's good.
We always seem to bring in the good people, and you don't want any of the gossip and bullshit and all that stuff. We just get to talk about the genius.
That's
I like that.
Exactly. I love talking about it. I mean, as you see, he's my idol, so that's dedicated to Eddie.
Oh, so you do like Van Halen? I always wonder.
I have one thing. I gotta say this off.
Oh, there we go.
Nice.
I bought this last year off of Instagram.
Oh wow!
I was in Japan makes them. It's called Frankenbee.
Ah, okay.
So it's a combination of Frankenstrat and Bumblebee. Pretty awesome.
Wow, that's cool.
Really cool.
Yeah, that's great.
I remember because I didn't know a lot, and I remember asking Ed about the yellow and black, and Ed was a lot of times in a good mood and happy and smiling and joking. And they're doing the replica, the Frank replica, obviously. And somebody had asked him, I didn't know about the yellow and black, but somebody asked him, are you going to do the yellow and black? And all of a sudden that happy Ed disappears. And he goes,
wow.
The yellow and black died with Dime.
Mm.
Sorry, we're kicking it off with a dark part. Let's talk about when the guys broke into his house.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, Andrew, about Frankenstrat, because I know you were exposed to it a lot. Like were you when you first got there? Had that been produced yet?
The replica?
Replica? Yeah.
No, not yet. When I got there, there was talk of it, but they couldn't find somebody who could get it right.
Yeah. Then they found.
Yeah, the whole department had tried it until that young kid Chip Ellis popped out of nowhere. And I remember when he approved it, Ed grabbed a Sharpie, and on the back of the neck he wrote "EVH approved. This is the shit."
Yeah. So he plays both of those, like in your videos. Like, does he play
Yeah,
the original?
He starts playing the replica. Yeah, he starts playing the replica around when you get into like late January, maybe.
Yeah,
Stuff
I've
prior
seen
to
that.
that is the real one.
The EVH approved. You can see it on the back of the guitar.
Yeah,
on one of the
yeah.
videos.
I think that's the point when he started like leaving Frankenstein, the original, like just on my desk, or like put it on my chair. Just typical Ed. He didn't think to himself, "This guitar is worth millions, and it's so this and that." He's like, "Nah, I'm just gonna set it on this desk."
It's amazing stuff. So I thought we might go around, if that's okay, around the room, and everyone introduce themselves and about Van Halen, what they mean to you.
Well, been a huge Van Halen obsessed person ever since I was a kid, decades long. I ended up going into a career in entertainment. I wrote for TV for a while. I was the 30-year radio guy. So I was able to meet the band a couple of times, nothing to the extent of Andrew, but have just always been such a huge fan that I was very much aware of what Andrew had done video wise and had heard about it for years. And I was like, I would give anything to get my hands on this. And then one night I happened to be watching Andrew, I believe on this very podcast, and I started doing a little bit more digging. He was talking about the book. I didn't even know about the book. I knew about the footage. So I got the book and the way that algorithms work. Next thing I know, I got a suggestion for Andrew as an Instagram fan or follow. And I started following him, and we started contacting each other, and the rest was history. And the truth is, I would have given my left nut for this footage, and thankfully, Andrew did not do that.
No, I'm good on. I do not want anybody's body parts.
But the really cool thing about it is, and what I really respect about Andrew, and one of the first things he said to me was, when I told him I had interest in the footage, he goes, "I don't just give this to anybody. You got to prove you're a Van Halen fan." So I felt like I was interviewing for a job. Like we had this, ended up being, dude, what was it? Probably like a 2.5 hour conversation because we just had so much to discuss on the topic. But as soon as he said that, I'm like, I like this guy. And not only is the footage top notch, as you all know, it's just mind blowing. But another cool thing is Andrew's a really cool dude. He's become a friend, and
likewise,
I love being a part of this community. I'm excited to hear about everybody else's stories too.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Good.
Of course, buddy.
Now, Edward.
Me. I forgot. my first. I'll go by Wright. Actually, my first name is Edward. So you can call me Edward. I might confuse things with being a Van Halen thing, but
I was like, we can go with Wright.
Right is what everybody calls me in the world.
There we go.
Yeah, I've always liked Van Halen, along with other stuff, and I hadn't. So I've been working out in the gym probably 2-3 years ago, and some of my favorite songs kept being Van Halen and Sammy Hagar, and I just kept going back to them and replaying. I was like, I never really listened to Van Halen that much, and I've always liked the popular songs, and so I don't know, appealed to me more and more, and I kept going back to the very first one, I guess like everybody else in the beginning, and I wanted to play it. I was like, I want to experience this music live. I never went to one of their concerts, so had interest in guitar, so it all kind of came together at the same time, and I was on Instagram too, and came across something that mentioned Andrew and his footage, and that was it. I was like, okay, that's kind of expensive, but sounds really good, and it is. It's great.
I hope it was worth it.
Don't regret it a bit. No, yeah.
Okay, good. Because I've let people know. I'm sorry, we'll jump over, but I've let people know just in regards to the price. I had to kind of price it at that level to keep it rare and to keep it limited. And it's created like what we have here. It's created this little mini community. And that's kind of what I was aiming for, not sell for $50 and then it's all over the internet.
Which is still gets all over the internet anyways, apparently.
Oh, you're right. Somebody did try to leak like a clip. It got taken down. I think it took 4 minutes.
Was it that long? Yeah, I seen it a couple of times with you, Andrew.
Yeah, I developed a good relationship with YouTube. So there's a whole algorithm set up for me.
Oh,
so
nice.
If something pops into that algorithm, YouTube sends an alert to my phone. I just hit delete, and there you go.
Cool.
So, but everybody's been really cool. Everybody's been very cool and trustworthy. So thank you, everybody.
Awesome.
Yeah. How about yourself, Pat?
Myself, geez. Well, I've been a Van Halen fan since, oh gosh, I think when they first came on the scene. I was an aspiring guitarist back when I was younger than I am today, shall we say. And man, I tell you, as soon as I heard that Van Halen lick, it was just unlike anything I've ever heard. And then I've been always just following their career through the David Lee Roth, Sammy Hagar, Gary Sharon, and even that other guy that had about 30 seconds in the band. What's his name? Yeah, that's the guy. That's the one. That's the one. But yeah, when I came into knowing about Andrew's footage, I remember seeing you used to have like little clips that would appear on YouTube. And you get the 5150 Vault, and being, of course, quite a fan, it's just like, oh, that would just be amazing to have. I tracked Andrew down on Facebook and started chit-chatting with him. And yeah, it is pricey, but kind of like the rest of you guys, I think well worth it if you're a diehard fan, like sounds like the rest of us are, to see that experience. And not only that, but the dynamic of Wolf and Ed in those early times as he was kind of being mentored. Yeah. I think just be able to see that in practice sessions is pretty wild. And like you said, rare. Not everybody gets that opportunity, so I love mine.
Awesome. Awesome.
Plus that peak into 5150 too, which is cool. I mean, to me, that's sacred ground. So much great music came out of there. And to speak to the price, I did have this conversation with Andrew just about how crazy it is that there has been this attempt by the Van Halen camp to not release things. And the fact that, I was more than willing to pay what Andrew was charging, the fact that they're preventing themselves from getting that money in their pocket just continues to blow my mind. I mean, even all of this recent video that's come out, I'm sure you're all the same way. Every time something's released, you're trying to watch it as fast as possible because you're wondering if it's going to get yanked, like the Donington show last year or 2 years ago, whatever it was. And the whole thing was out for like maybe 2 days. Now there's like 37 minutes of it. I can't get enough of this.
Like over the past 2 days.
Yeah.
On YouTube.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was watching stuff, and for 78, I think there was some stuff. 78, 84, all that. And then the guy's account was taken off.
Yep. No, you got to keep going down different rabbit holes to find it. I was actually back on today, and a couple of them were back up. But much like Pat too, I wanted to be the next Eddie Van Halen and picked up a guitar because of Eddie. And it didn't take me long to figure out that I'm never going to be that talented, no matter how much I practice. And one of the things I know that's been discussed about these videos is the great job that Andrew did with just zooming in so much on Eddie's fingers and his hands and just seeing how smoothly and effortlessly everything is to him. And even Wolfie, for a kid that age, I mean, it's definitely in the DNA, no doubt about it. And I don't have that DNA. I can tell you that right now.
What was great is like Wolf. What I love about some of those days is when Wolfgang looks bored, like he's at his after school job. Like
this is a chore.
There bored. Yeah, I reached out to Wolfgang a while back. I don't know, a long time ago maybe, but because I want him to be able to see things. As far as like monetizing things and this and that's a whole separate conversation. But I wrote him because I was watching a rehearsal. I think it was his first. And I was just watching the way Ed looked at him and like how happy he was making Ed that he was there. And I let Wolf know that I know that musicians usually don't care about any footage of themselves. That's in the 100 music videos I've done. I've worked with like 2 bands that cared. So they don't really think about that stuff. They're musicians. They think about music. And so I pointed out to Wolf that I know that to you, this is, probably boring footage because you were there and it's your dad and this and that. I go, but what you really need to see is how your dad looked at you. Like, that man was so happy and proud. And so I told Wolf, and I'll throw it out there, like, if Wolf wants his first rehearsal, I let him know this, like, he can have it. Like, free, no strings attached, nothing. I just want Wolf to have that hour to sit there and watch, like, how happy his dad was. I think it would make him happy. So, Wolf, if you're watching, offer stands. And he does his own thing. The kid is a genius. I don't know what's in their DNA.
He just played that. He played that bass on the video, just like you say, effortlessly. Looked like he was just like he heard all that stuff so much. He's like, oh, this is how you play it.
Yeah,
like he just grabbed it and started.
I like if people caught it in the beginning of the clip where Ed played Eruption. The one time he played Eruption. In the very beginning, if you're listening, you hear Wolf say, "Do I need to be here for this?" And I just thought it's so like it's cute. Like, your dad's about to play Eruption, and you're like, "Do I need to be here for this?" Yeah, my dad made me mow the lawn. Your dad makes you listen to Eruption.
I have a lot of respect for Wolfgang, and I understand that how difficult it is, and all the abuse that he took on socials early on from people who were upset that he was in the band, were upset that he replaced Mike, but that era of Van Halen doesn't happen without Wolf. The only reason why Ed went to do it was for the chance to work with his son. And it's not like he's hack. This is a crazy talented kid. So I get why he can get defensive about it. I give him credit for doing his own thing. He's an amazing musician. Sometimes I feel like some of the anger and resentment he has about the way that he's been treated online, it feels like he's firing at all old Van Halen fans, which I'm like, oh, dude, don't do that. Like, we want to love you, and I do love him, and I understand it. I lost my mom. I know what it's like to lose a parent. It's tough, and then to be in that fishbowl and have people coming at you about it, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But I think that the best thing you can say about Wolfgang Van Halen is he doesn't need to perform Van Halen to have a career. That speaks to his talent and what he brings to the table as a musician, which is a lot.
Yeah, whenever I see a comment that is basically negative, that's like, Wolf only got the job because he's Eddie's son. And my response to that is always this: that's not true. Wolf got the chance to audition because he's Eddie's son. If Wolf couldn't cut it, even though that was the person that Eddie loved the most in the world, I wasn't going to let him join the band. No, Wolf, he was talented from day one when we were first in there, but the kid worked his ass off. And did it all with like humility and had fun.
So Andrew, would you say that he had a similar work ethic like Ed did? I always often heard you talk about Ed's work ethic. You were always blown away from that first and foremost about him.
Yeah. I could tell with Wolf, like right off the bat, like how do I put this? Like when he was there, he was there. He never complained about anything. He wasn't checking his phone. He wasn't going to a laptop. Like, he was there to work and he was in it. So you could tell he wanted to be there. Sometimes we would race golf carts around the property. We were there. I'm an old guy, but I was still closer to his age than Ed at the time. But no, he earned that spot. And yeah, you're right. He's an amazing musician. And I give him nothing but credit because, like I said, like he was not handed this; he was handed the chance. You know, there's a big difference. I would say he worked his ass off. I mean, he came to all of the practices, always there, never complains. I would imagine he was also, you know, practicing when he went home. You know, I mean, obviously there's some DNA in their talent, but there's also DNA in that work ethic too. I mean, Alex never flaked. Alex is at every rehearsal, and you know, Alex, you know, was younger then, but still, for a guy who's been doing it at the time for 30 something years, that's brutal as a drummer to just keep hitting things. Like I said, it's that work ethic, man. And, you know, I think they also recognize like how happy it makes Ed to do that, just to be able to play. You know, Wolfgang didn't have to join a band. Alex didn't have to do anything. I mean, nobody really had to do anything after what, like 1985. It was all just for the love of music. But yeah, Pat, like you were saying, that work ethic, that's where I got it. I'll share this one thing, we can move on. But I was on set one day, and the producer's job is kind of like keep us on schedule and keep me moving along. And he came up to me and he said, "Hey man, we have to move on." And I said, "Cool, like that last shot wasn't perfect. We're just gonna do it one more time." And he said, "It was good enough." And my cinematographer said, when he said the words "good enough," I looked you in the eyes and I thought you were going to murder this man. And I said, "There is no good enough. There is nothing, or there is perfect. If you don't like my work ethic, take it up with Eddie Van Halen." From my work ethic to my sobriety, like Eddie's always in here.
What I noticed in these videos, like you're saying, how old was he? 15, 16 at the time?
15, yeah.
And if you watch all the videos of the rehearsals, I can't really see one time where he makes a mistake. He's got everything down. I mean, everyone makes mistakes. You know, you hear Eddie makes mistakes, and I don't think Alex did, but I mean, Wolfgang's.
Oh, Eddie messed up playing Eruption. You know, in the clip, like, there's a reason I kept the clip raw in the way it was I found it quite endearing that Eddie Van Halen's like starting Eruption, then he stops. And he starts and he stops. I'm like, this might be the only footage in existence of Eddie having trouble with Eruption.
I love the line that he learned from his dad too about making mistakes, which was, if you F up, do it again, and that way people will think that you did it on purpose.
Yeah,
that's a good one. I like that. Yeah, Ed had a great sense of humor. He was a funny dude.
I think it's cool too how Sam and Mike have kind of embraced Wolfgang, and vice versa. Like, it's great to see all of them at least publicly getting along. If there's a bigger class act in music than Michael Anthony, I haven't met that person. Dave maybe not embracing Wolf so much as you've all seen. That's cool. That is cool to see.
Yeah, Dave's an eclectic. Dave's out there, man.
Oh yeah.
I did a video for Sammy. I forget what year it was. It was after my time at 5150, and the label had called me and they're like, "Hey, do you want to write a treatment on a Sammy Hagar video?" And I said, "Are you asking me that just because of Van Halen?" And the guy at the label said, "Yeah, of course. Don't be stupid." And so I wrote this treatment and I got the job. And apparently Sammy was looking at the treatments directors had written, and he saw mine and he goes, "Hey, wait a minute. Is that kid that was at 5150? The guy at the label goes, "Yeah, that's him." He goes, "Shit, hire him, man. He probably needs the money." And I got to set, and Sammy like comes out and he sees me and he goes, "Holy shit, man, you're still alive." I said, "Just barely." And Michael Anthony comes walking out because he's the bass player in the video. And Michael Anthony comes walking out and Sammy goes, "Hey, Mikey, this is Andrew. This is the guy that was up at 5150. And Mike goes, "Whoa, man, you're still alive?" He hadn't even heard Sammy. But what I'm getting at is like those two guys, I asked how Ed was doing, you know, I asked how Al was doing. Like, they didn't say one negative thing. Like, we didn't get into like too much storytelling. They were like, how's Ed doing last time you saw him? I was like, dude, he's doing great, man. Quit drinking, looking healthy, super happy. And Mike's like, good, man. I love to hear that. I love to hear that. I know that things can get weird out there in the world of like social media and this and that. My little experience behind the scenes is there's really not as much drama as I think everybody thinks there is.
It's not like there was drama all the time. It was just once in a while enough to have a story here and there.
Yeah.
And the crazy,
I tried
the crazy
to keep
thing with Ed. No, go ahead, Andrew.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was just going to say the crazy thing for me about Ed and his health, like I'll never forget having gone to that disastrous 04 reunion tour. And
yeah,
that night, I actually happened to be in the pit that night, right next to Ed. And I could see him going backstage, guzzling from bottles of Yellowtail. And it was one of the worst performances I've ever seen him give. And as the show was going on, at some point I see him, he's like squinting, trying to see the set list. So I was like, Ed, Panama. He's like, oh, thanks, dude. Plays Panama. Ed, right now.
Wow.
So then he comes over when the show was done. He's like, I could not have done this without you. He takes the pick, he slaps at my hand and shakes
awesome.
it.
Wow.
And it was like such an awesome moment. But by the same token, I'm like, I don't know if I'm ever going to see him alive again. Fast forward to the 2015 tour. I'd never seen him looking healthier, happier. And that brought me so much joy. I got to go to that sound check at that show. And then I fully expected like, oh, well, he's worked out through everything and I'll see him for many more years to come. And then the next thing you know, he's gone. You never know.
Yeah. I met him in 04. That's how we met. So people have asked this in emails and stuff. So we'll just throw it out there. There is no 2004 footage in the collection. I was only there for a couple of weeks for like the recording of a couple of songs, but yeah, nobody needs to see that. Yeah, I mean, obviously I always want to protect, like as far as like my material and my stories and my experience goes, I'm always going to protect the legacy of Ed. But then on a personal note, being sober 10 years, if somebody had footage of me in 2014, I would not want that footage out. Like, mainly because I don't remember 2014.
Yeah, I have to see your book there, Andrew, Eruption in the Canyon. You had pretty decent pictures in there. There were only maybe, I think, one or two that I had to do a double take and look at like, holy shit, that's Ed. You know, really like, he definitely looked like somebody different back then.
Yeah, and I only put those photos in because that's where my story starts, right? My story starts in 04, so I wanted to put in a couple of photos from 04. But I felt like people had already seen him looking that way. You know, they'd seen the tour, so I'm not like spilling the beans and being like, here's what he actually looked like. Everybody saw it. And the couple of photos I used because, humbly put, I thought they were good photos. You know, like I like the one where he's like sitting there listening to something and he's like deep thinking. So 04, so no 04 footage. I know the It's About Time video got out there because it was on my website, like going back to like 06. So somebody at some point ripped that music video. But, you know, it's not behind the scenes listening to people talk. There is one little moment in the middle of that video where Sammy says, hey, where are you going, man? And Ed says, I'm done. It's time for you to sing, bitch. But again, it wasn't dramatic. He was smiling as he walked away. Sammy's smiling. It was no drama. It was just, you know, two guys in a band together.
So how many hours of footage would you say you have altogether in your time that you spent there?
Around 40. But with the stuff that I put out, I mean, clearly people know kind of what he was going through in like 06 and then like a little slip. I think the only day that you see where he's clearly been drinking, because you can see the bottle a lot. But Wolf's first rehearsal, he doesn't look great. Like he gets a little healthier as time goes on. But Wolf's first rehearsal I felt was like kind of historic. And I felt like since this isn't going out to the masses, it's going to a group of people who understand and still respect and aren't judging. I wanted people to see, like, no pun intended on my book, but the genius of Wolfgang Van Halen. You know, hey, Wolf, let's write 30 short stories and do another book.
I do want to give the book a plug too. I believe me, I've read every possible thing that's ever been written about the band. One of the interesting things that I was saying to Andrew today, everybody's experience was different, whether it was Steve Rosen's or what Andrew went through, and Al had his version of things and stuff like that. But there are some moments in the book for people who maybe don't feel as if they can afford the video footage. That I was saying to Andrew today, I'm like, dude, there's a couple of moments in that book that my jaw just dropped in terms of some of the stories that you told, and it's very, very well written, and the photos are top notch. And I also want to say too, the quality of the video is insanely professional. Never call Andrew a videographer. That is something.
I believe I read that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Andrew's not doing weddings, okay?
Filmmaker, is that it?
The old school, the Gen X crew that I come out of, we come from, when indie films became a big thing, and then Sundance was a big thing, and there was no video. If you wanted to shoot a short film, you had to get this stuff called film. And so then you had to have a camera, and lighting for film is completely different, as in you have to light. So, for the guys like myself that went through all this like painstaking stuff of like trying to make your short film and filming 3 hours every Saturday for 4 months, because that's the only time you can get these actors, like all this stuff we went through. And then this wave of people comes out shooting things on phones. And I'm not disrespecting anything necessarily. Like, I think you can probably shoot amazing things on phones. But it was like when they came out, they got the term videographer. And it also went to like, paparazzi on the streets. They're videographers. And so, yeah, our generation, when we started getting lumped into there, we were like, yeah, with all due respect to everybody's talent, we went through hell. You guys have it so easy and cheap. So, yes, it's a fun joke that I make, but there is something behind it, which is we're like, it's kind of disrespectful to the shit we did. Like, I don't know how guitar players feel, but it's almost like, these guys today have all these pedal boards and all these plugins, and they have Pro Tools at home. They didn't pay their dues.
Welcome, Chris.
Hey everyone, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, Chris?
Hey man.
There he is.
We're just talking about how great of a videographer Andrew is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Nah, not much needs to be said. I think the resume speaks for itself.
We're making the joke about the term videographer and how it upsets me sometimes.
Yeah, the linguistics.
Yes. What's up, man?
Nice. Not much. Sorry, I was running a little behind, but glad I was able to jump in. So,
yeah, I like it.
Thank you. Yeah, I was at the thing you did in LA, so I had to grab the shirt while I was there.
How was that? The signing?
How was it?
Yeah, meeting Alex.
I didn't get to meet him, unfortunately. He did signings in New York. When he was in Culver, though, he did like a sit-down conversation.
Oh yeah.
So it was packed, man. Like, it was crazy. It was such a long line to get in there. Like, it was like 10,000 of his closest friends. It seemed like so. But yeah, what we got instead was like 90 minutes of his time undivided, where he kind of told his story. Yeah. So, we didn't get a couple minutes to kind of say thanks to him personally, but instead we got something really cool. And he's brilliant. Like, he is such a brilliant dude.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, that's why there's a part of the book called Alisms.
Yeah.
Because every day after every rehearsal, he would pop into where my desk was, and he would kind of like take a peek at whatever music video I was editing or just saying goodbye. And he would walk in and be like, all right, Andrew, I'm going to take off. I said, all right, Al, I'll see you. And he would walk out the door and immediately come right back in and go, "Hey, Andrew, to a hammer, everything looks like a nail." Then he would flash that grin and go, "All right, man, I'll see you Thursday." And every day, like, I know they're not original quotes of his, but every day I would write them down on this piece of paper, and it was stuffed in this top drawer of my desk. It was just called Alisms. And luckily I kept that piece of paper for however many years, a long time. But yeah, he's a brilliant guy, man.
Yeah. Have you read the book, Andrew? Brothers?
I started listening to it. I got a little sidetracked here in the last couple of months, moving and etc. But I like listening to it.
Yeah.
I think, like, because I know that voice so well. And when I started listening to it, it almost had me crying because he's just so sincere. Like, when he's talking in that, in the audiobook, it's not like he's performing, or like, it's really coming from the heart. And so I was like 20 minutes into it, and then I just got kind of like choked up and had to stop. Like, everybody knows they had this bond, but man, like, that's got to be rough. I mean, your brother, your best friends. Yeah, it's a tough listen, but I always say, if you can listen to Alex Van Halen talk, listen to him talk.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even the way Eddie talks about him, because, as you guys know, I've been editing all the Steve Rosen interviews from, pretty much, I think it's like 40 interviews with Eddie Van Halen. So I did all the editing for his audiobook as well. So there's heaps of footage, heaps of audio. But it's just, the way he talks about Alex and the way it comes across. So even though they fought and had fist fights, they had a very special connection as well.
Really got me.
We did that.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, we did? Yeah, second song.
Huh?
We already did it, second song.
How's the second song?
We already did it, second song. Encore.
No, I mean, that's what was, great about the fights was, not only these fights, true fights, but they're so legendary they've been given a nickname.
DEFCON.
But what was so great about those fights was, one, they were entertaining. I mean, nobody was hitting below the belt with insults, nothing like that. It was just, two fired up Dutch Indonesian guys. But yeah, I mean, Tuesday it could be like, "Fuck you, Ed, fuck you, Al," and then Thursday you come back to rehearsal and you're like, "So I guess we just forgot about that." Like, that's how they were. But they weren't just bandmates. Obviously, they're brothers, so they know how this works. But yeah, no, they're definitely never a dull day, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talking about the collection, I mean, everyone's got the full collection here. Yeah, but it's just amazing stuff. And just talking to Andrew this morning, we're going to do like a little special for everyone for joining us today. So Andrew's got collection, some video that hasn't been released yet, and I'm going to do some editing and put it over one of the jams. And Andrew's going to give it to you guys.
Yeah, man.
Nice.
Yeah, dude. Like, I just think it's really cool how supportive everybody has been, and it's just so cool to like get to know everyone too, like chat with people on the phone and messaging.
Just to point something out, I came out came out LA wise in October and met Andrew, and he's super awesome dude in person too. So like it's authentic. What you hear from him is real, and driving up to 5150, like, it is very exclusive. Trust me, I tried. You cannot see it. No matter what you do, no matter how close you get, you cannot see it. So, I mean, it's pretty exclusive thing to get the access that you get with the footage that he's got.
Yeah.
And when you guys watched it, like, my goal was I wanted people to feel like they're standing in the room. Like, that's why obviously I go in for close-ups and things like that, but that's why I wasn't like running around, whipping the camera around. was the idea was just to like have it natural. Did you guys get that sense of like standing in the room, like getting the vibe of like this is where these things are?
Oh yeah.
Oh, totally
Cool.
did. Yeah,
For sure.
it's the most footage I've ever seen of 5150 in one place. And I have to think too, you were talking about how you haven't done it for the money. I've yet to have you try to sell me an Andrew Bennett casket like Gene Simmons would. But I've got to think in terms of releasing all this too, how cool it must be for you, because I know that was a life-changing part of your life, and to have all that documented, and you must be jumping out of your skin to share it with people, and especially people like us who have such a love for the band and such a love for Ed.
Yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, I have joked before, but it's not really a joke, but like if I go buy a lotto ticket tomorrow and I win $100 million, I'll send the people who already bought it a couple $100,000. Or maybe not. Maybe it is just it stays like this. No, I mean the point being is like, in my spirit, like I really would love to just give it away. I would love to, sell it for $50. We just don't live in that day and age. And like you were saying, like given how intimate it is and how, there's really no footage of being inside of there. I didn't feel like the fly-by-night fan would truly appreciate like the details of things. I was talking to one guy who got it, and he said, I've been waiting over 40 years to see this footage. And like, that made me feel good. Like, like, wow, man, I have something that like is making people happy. Yeah. And Chris has become like a good friend of mine, man. Like he stayed at my place in LA. We talk all the time. Like, it's really cool, dude. It's like this little circle of people. I dig it.
Yeah. I was just watching one this morning of Atomic Punk. Because I noticed on a few rehearsals, like he starts it and he stops. It's like he's really trying to get that right there on the bridge. But the close up you get on it, it's like, that's how he's doing it. So it's really good.
Yeah. Is that how Chris, was it like beneficial for you as a guitar player?
Yeah, well, like I was saying to you like a week or two ago, like, the stuff in the big room, unfortunately, the audio, like, but yeah, there's like Mean Street in particular, like there's minimal clips of them playing it live, particularly the intro, which is, as a guitar player, obviously, like that's like, that's pretty high standard. Case in point, watching Joe Satriani absolutely butcher it on Howard Stern and be like, I don't know how he does this. This is impossible. Much love to Joe. Joe's incredible, but kind of, if he struggles with it, obviously. So yeah, stuff like that for sure. Like just having the camera not move and staying on his hands is huge, because you can see exactly how he's doing it. Because everybody's got their interpretations and there's tabs and people doing video lessons, but I mean they're guessing just like everybody else,
Yeah.
It's not like Ed ever sat down and did a master class, right? So
yeah, well, these videos are really the next thing. I would say. I've always said that. Like,
absolutely,
they really are a masterclass of showing exactly what he's doing from himself. Like you said, you can see all these other people doing Van Halen videos, and he does it like this, does like that. But to actually see Eddie doing it, it really is a video masterclass.
Did it make you want to pick up the guitar, Pat? Get rocking again?
Oh, one of these days, man, once I get some things off my plate, you betcha.
Right. Here's Eddie. What's stopping you from taking 10 minutes right now, Pat?
There you go. Awesome. Anyways, guys, I got to peel out of here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Pat.
Thanks for coming by.
Thanks, Pat.
Hey, no
I'll
problem.
talk to you soon, Pat.
Take care. Sounds good, Andrew. Peace out.
All right. Bye.
Peace.
yeah.
I also want to add, Andrew, too, I do love the footage because my brother and I, we wanted to be Eddie and Alex, and I played guitar in a band and he played drums. The isolated stuff that you have with Alex, where it's just him, getting to watch him do what he does so well, is an awesome added bonus to the footage.
Exactly the same. I grew up with my brother playing drums, and exactly what you just said. I always play those clips. It's funny, I know all the other ones of Eddie, but those ones of Alex, they're great. Just jam along, make up different riffs to him, and it's like jam with Alex Van Halen.
Yeah.
Man, I'm jealous of both of you. I was always looking for my Alex. I never had a brother that played drums, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't say played him well, Chris. I didn't say he played well.
I liked at the beginning of the Hot for Teacher piece, you kind of hear Al doing something. I think it's Hot for Teacher, right? And Ed leans into the board and he's talking to Alex through the mic, and he goes, "Cut that Buddy Rich shit out. How about some Alex Van Halen?" Yeah, man. For those who haven't seen footage or done it, like, Al is in a different room 90% of the time. Like, Al's in a different room, but I needed to capture Al, so I always had a camera on tripod with Al. But I knew, like, looking straight on was going to be kind of boring. Like, I'm just going to see his face and kind of see some shoulder movement. That's why I put it up at an angle, so you can actually see his hands and see what he's doing. And then there was a couple of days where, let's just say, today's probably not the day to shoot Ed. He's in a bad mood. So luckily, there's also days where I'm handheld on Alex. I'm kind of floating around and seeing details too. So a little something for the drummers. But yeah, and also with the Alex camera, I just call it the Al cam. On the Al cam, while he's in his drum room, you can still hear a little bit of the music coming out of where the board is. But if you're a drummer, like, you're basically, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but you're basically getting an Alex Van Halen drum lesson.
Yeah.
Because it's almost isolated drums.
It is.
So for the drummers out there.
Yeah, for sure. Now we have Jason in here as well. Welcome, Jason.
Oh, there he is.
Hey.
Hey, man.
How you doing?
Yep.
I'm great. Nice to see you.
Likewise.
So where are you from, Jason?
I'm from Indianapolis.
Okay. All right.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you. So we've been getting everyone's little story of how Van Halen, what they mean to you, and how you come across the footage.
So like, I'm watching the video that you sent me on Dropbox, and I'm mesmerized by his hands, because they're I don't know, they're very unique, for the lack of a better way to say it.
Yeah.
But
so as a
the
guitar
footage
player,
is really great.
Thanks, man. But as a guitar player, were you stoked to, like, finally see that stuff, like, the details of his fingers?
Absolutely. Actually, I can't watch it enough. It was probably the best, change I've ever spent in my life, to watch somebody play. I've been a guitar player since I was 9, so I've been around this for all my life, basically. But there's something different about watching Ed play. It's just it's very natural, for him, and I don't know. There's just something very unique about his techniques and the sound and tone he produces. So it's I can't really get enough of watching him. Just noodle around. Even if he's not playing a song, he's just kind of just messing around with it. It's just phenomenal to watch.
Yeah, I noticed in some of as I was watching footage more and more, I was like, he never really stops playing. Like, even in between songs, he's doing some kind of riff. Like, I think somewhere that he did like a Zeppelin riff one day.
Yeah.
I think it's like how he talks. He's not really much for words, so he communicates through strings, which I find amazing.
Sometimes when I talk about the audio, because the collection comes with the audio from the board as well, and so I've always joked that, like, because of the actual film footage and on the board audio as well, it doesn't matter what singer you like. There's no singer. How's that sound, people? No singer, and you can listen to Hot for Teacher.
You can completely omit the vocals altogether, and I would just be as happy as anybody else. It's the music that really kind of does it for me. I never really get tired of watching it, and you were, the footage that you were actually able to put in kind of gave me a whole different perspective of seeing him behind the soundboard, raw, uncut, practicing with his son, which is a treat, to basically, like, it looked like Wolfgang was getting his feet wet for the first time, I'm guessing. When you were recording those.
Yeah, that October 06 is his first rehearsal.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of seemed like he was kind of new to the game, but very seasoned, obviously, because it's in his blood.
The best way for me to describe it is it's one thing to watch a great guitar player do what he or she does. It's another thing to watch an innovator and to get an up close look at all of these techniques that he developed that in many cases hadn't existed prior to him, and to see the decades of the work that he did and to see it all in one place in one video and shot so well. It's
thanks, man.
Everything Van Halen you could possibly imagine. And I don't know that there's anything that I've thoroughly enjoyed. And I think because of my age and how much I appreciate it and how phenomenal it is. And it's a testament to the band's talent, but it's a testament to Andrew's talent as well.
Oh, thank you, man.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
That is definitely, it's something I would definitely want to, add to his video skills and just recording, what we're watching, the raw practicing is awesome. I enjoy that more than probably watching, high budget, videos being made. I don't know. Maybe it's just because you're kind of like right there in the grind, in the trenches, watching him, innovate and write and just even tuning his guitar, your camera angles and, just what you were able to capture is timeless. And in my opinion, priceless. If you ever see the stretch, like when he'll do like a fret stretch from, his index to his pinky, I mean, dude, he can cover a lot of ground with no problem.
Like most people are like here and he's like here. Yeah.
Right.
Like just the reach that he has is nuts.
And it's like easy. It's like a walk in the park for him.
Watching Ed play, obviously the early stuff from the Dave years, but culminated 40 years later with, all the stuff past that he's figured out since he wrote that stuff and played it then. And is, because you watch all these different days and how he plays something, and he never does the same thing twice, which is why he's brilliant with the riff machine and stuff. But yeah. So
yeah, I thought that was one of the cool things about the footage too, was like, like he doesn't play anything the same way every day.
No, he does not.
I'm not a guitarist, so as far as like, his hands and things like that, like I don't catch that, but my ears catch it. And I'm just like, the Hot for Teacher never sounded the same. Ever.
On one of my older phones, I had an app that was all Van Halen music, and there was a lot of stuff that was rare and bootlegged, and it would get pulled down from time to time. And there was one night that it had been pulled down for a couple of months, and my mom had just passed from COVID 3 weeks earlier, and I'm like, I was just sitting there. Oh, thank you, I appreciate that. But I was like, I could really use some Van Halen right now. Let me see if the app is up and running. I put it up, and it immediately started playing Crossing Over. And I was like, oh, God, this is like my mom kind of speaking to me through Van Halen. She knew how much I love them. And so then I went to bed not thinking much else about it. And the next day, Eddie passed. And I was like, holy shit.
Oh, wow.
The way that song in with those two bookends, it was, I don't know that I'm the most religious guy. I'm a spiritual guy. I think there was something to that night, the app coming back, that's playing with everything that I was going through, and then what I was about to go through the next day. It was a moment I never forgot. Really resonated with me.
Sorry for your loss,
man. Yeah. I like those spiritual, crazy experiences too. It's like it can bring happiness to a sad moment, because you feel like they're still with you.
It's very hard. It's very heartwarming. It gives you connection that you're missing. It's like it fills a void in you, for lack of a better way to put it. I don't know. I feel blessed that I was able to meet you. You've done a lot for me. even aside
Yeah,
from
man.
Van Halen.
Thanks, guys.
I can't thank you enough, even just for sitting and listening to me talk. It's like a friend I've never had, buddy.
I posted it on socials on
Yeah.
New Year's Eve, and I said the best thing that happened to me in 2024 was Andrew Bennett, and I mean it, man.
Oh, brother, thank you, man.
Same
You guys are
here.
gonna get a little
I'm
choked
glad
up.
you said that because I didn't have to, because I feel the same way.
Thanks, you guys.
Yeah, he is by far a blessing for me. I
feel
can't
like,
thank you enough for
yeah,
taking the time to meet me.
I'm gonna feel like Ed would really enjoy this too. Like this group of guys that have met, me being able to communicate with, like, me being able to talk about Ed the way I like to talk about him, with respect, and share obviously like some personal behind the scenes shit that I know is appreciated.
Dude, you're a class act because of what you were exposed to. You were exposed to a lot of the stuff that people would thrive on, trying to get out there to get clicks and to sell, to sell stories. But you have enough integrity and to not share the bullshit, because everybody has rough times, and Eddie's no different than anyone else,
No,
so
and
my hat's off to you for keeping that stuff to yourself and not
thanks,
trying
man.
to use it to make money.
No,
So,
I mean, I respected Ed as the man he was. When I first got there, I hadn't been there that long. I mean, maybe a month at that point, but I broke up with my girlfriend. I found out she cheated on me, and I wasn't going to stick around to have a conversation with her about it.
don't blame you.
And so I just, I left 5150, went down to my apartment that her and I lived together, went in the apartment, packed up all my shit. I took a pair of scissors and cut out the crotch in all her underwear.
That's awesome. That's some funny shit.
But I got back up to 5150.
Sorry.
And I was like, yeah, Ed, I'm like, she fucking cheated on me. I just went home and packed up all my shit. And he goes, where are you staying? Oh, I'll probably go stay at a friend's house. He goes, just crash here. You're here all the time anyway. And I'm telling this because I do like to throw this out there. I did crash there for 2 nights. I was not homeless. I had a place to live. I did find a place. I just don't want people to think that like I was crashing on Eddie's couch. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I was there as a professional. Like, we became friends, but I was there as a professional. But he goes, yeah, just crash here.
Yes.
And then in typical Ed fashion, he's kind of smoking. And he goes to get up. And he looks at me and he goes, you know what, Andrew? Never liked that bitch anyway.
That was a personal touch. I like that.
Dude, he had such a great sense of humor, and he was so loyal to everyone. When it came to like whatever, me not getting paid, I've always said, I'm like, that's just something that got overlooked. Like, I got lost in the
Probably.
shuffle. I don't think Ed ever knew anything. Yeah, I mean, that's like him and I would sit there and chat, and it's like, yeah, he would kind of give me advice on, he had some things to say about the last woman and the signs he saw in her. Obviously we talked about work ethic. He showed interest in music videos that I was doing. He would come in when I'm cutting something and he would look and be like, oh yeah, cool. Like, he didn't judge any bands. He sat there and watched the Jonas Brothers, for God's sake. Like, I never thought my life would end up, I'm sitting here with Eddie Van Halen watching the Jonas Brothers. But he had nothing bad to say about them. The only time he ever said anything was he came into the room one day, and I was editing Nickelback, and he came into the room and he just takes a pair of headphones and goes and drops them on the desk and goes, you got to wear headphones for this shit. He just walked out.
That's so funny.
When he did that, he wasn't angry. He wasn't necessarily, going on some tangent about how bad Nickelback is. Side note, Nickelback is very good at what they do. Let's just, Chad Kroger's a dick.
Well, they've sold a lot of records.
Exactly. But he never had anything mean to say about it. He was interested in your band. He was interested in other musicians. He wanted to see stuff. And it was just one of those guys where it's like, man, this guy had an open mind to new bands, an open mind to shit that, even if he didn't like it, it wasn't his style, he would still check it out.
There's some stuff that like they're rehearsing, like I know, thinking about Mean Street, for example, like at the end of it, when they stop, Wolf's like, Dad, it's 3 times, like you messed that up. And so they rip right back into the ending, Ed just starts blasting out a solo and they do that section again. But like for them to just be 1, 2, 3, bam, into a part where they're all in sync, or like there's audio I remember somewhere where they're playing Somebody Get Me a Doctor, and he kind of F's up the solo a little bit, so they go over that again. So it's cool because you can kind of hear them talking and working through some of the shit later on as they're trying to get it tight, which is super cool. I mean, it's cool to see them play this stuff, but that's the shit that nobody's seen ever, is like the dynamic of them working through shit. And then Al talking. Like, if you think about it, fly on the wall shit, like them doing all those records, there is no documentation about that. Just to hear Ed and Al hash shit out,
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's like as a recording engineer, they've got to be one of the easiest bands to work with in my life, I would imagine. I mean, they go in and just and just bang it out.
Yeah, I mean, there was an engineer there for those rehearsals because they're recording them. There was an engineer there, and I knew that engineer through this record producer, Glenn Ballard. So Glenn had kind of discovered me at a young age and got my foot in the door with music videos. And Bill Molina was Glenn's engineer on, I think, pretty much everything, like every artist I saw around Glenn for a long time. And Bill Molina's cool as fuck and obviously a genius. Like, he's such a mild-mannered, really nice guy, but if you think about it, you're like, you're Glenn Ballard's go-to guy. You're Eddie Van Halen's go-to guy. You must be amazing.
Pretty sweet.
And you can see in the rehearsals, right? I mean, sometimes you see Bill Molina kind of moving around and popping in and, fixing some levels on the board or something. But it's funny how you said that because I was, now thinking about Bill Molina in the studio. I'm like, yeah, he never seemed too frustrated. He was up there. Every day was myself, Wolf, Al, Ed, and Matt Bruck. Ed's long time, to call him an assistant is almost like mean, like his right-hand man.
This has been a lot of fun. Thanks so much for having me. And
Thanks
Andrew,
for hanging,
I'll be in
man.
touch, buddy. Absolutely.
Oh, we'll talk soon.
Nice to meet you.
All right, brother.
Right.
Same here.
Pleasure to meet you.
Take care,
Good
guys.
night.
See you later.
Wow. I've watched a few of your podcasts, man. They're very entertaining.
Oh, thank you.
That's actually when I first discovered Andrew. Yeah.
That's good.
I do enjoy him.
Oh, God, I'm going to start giving Adam like 10% to become my manager.
That's all good.
No, man, like Adam, I love coming. I just love it because, like, I love bringing in guys, like all you guys. And, I've done other podcasts, but this is the only one where we really get to talk about like Eddie's musicianship and we get to talk to other guitar players. Like, I learn things from this. I still like to share my stories and share, my intentions behind what I do. But this is the only one I come on where there's like this genuine respect for the artist and the man. Like, no disrespect to other podcasts I've done. It's all about clicks. So some people want, like, they just want all the crazy shit. Let's just talk about that. And they're still respectful. I've said this a million times. But, if people don't understand, like if I'm doing a podcast or even if I'm just talking to a person, if they don't understand like the influence and the impact that Ed had on people's lives, then we probably shouldn't be talking. That's why I dig coming on here, man, because we get to talk to cool people.
Yeah, I enjoy it too. So it's good to talk about it and see people's reactions for the video. It's great, for sure.
I will throw this out there. All you guys know it, but the people who have a collection have talked to me on the phone prior to getting it.
Yep.
Like, not in a creepy way. I'm not asking for your social security numbers and your mother's maiden name or anything like that. Like, I just want to know that you're
the people that you're giving it to.
yeah, I want to know you're a good person. I want to know that you truly loved Ed and the band. I just like to get that vibe. So
I have so much respect for that.
So yeah, and it kind of filters the good people from the bad people, but it also creates like a nice trust level for all of us. Like I trust you guys. So yeah, if you are interested, write me, introduce yourself. Tell me about the first time you heard Van Halen. I would love to hear that. Well, cool, Adam. Thanks for bringing us all on, man. I appreciate it.
No, thank you all for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me on. It meant a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, likewise, man. I really appreciate you coming on.
See you soon.
Have a good night.
All right.
Take
care.
Take care.
Cheers.
Bye.